Welcome back to Strings and Stories. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're sitting here with Jenny Colquitt. How's it going today, Jenny?
Really good. Yes. Fantastic. It's been a good week, good day. How are
Good
you?
week, good day. I'm gonna leave my personal things aside. It's been good. It's been stressful but good. Um,
Which is
but
life at the moment.
right. Really excited to sit down and chat with you. We had you on. What was it? May, I think. Whenever Everton's last game was last season, I know we had purposely did that.
Yeah.
Um, but so you've been really busy this year so far. You got a new song that just dropped on Friday or Thursday
Yeah.
or
Yeah. It's been 2 days. I'm not sure when this is going out, but it was on the 22nd of September.
yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, very busy.
Nice. That's always fun. So obviously with this new song coming out, what's kind of been going on the last few months since we've talked last, obviously with the new song and whatnot.
Yeah, so obviously we'd finished the tour before. I think we talked about the tour in the last interview.
Mm,
So we finished the tour, and pretty much since then I think I actually kind of on the last chat that we had was like kind of talking about things that were going on,
yeah.
but I couldn't really announce too much. But now I've fully announced, which is good. So basically, I've been working on a new album since pretty much like the last week of the tour, I was in the studio for the first time. So that was like March. Working on the new album. We've done one single. Sorry, we've done two now, but the first one
Mm,
was Without You,
hmm.
which was a few months ago, and then now we've just released No One Loves Me Like You, which is the second single. We also announced that the album was going to be happening, and a full tour for next year. So yeah, May next year it's all kicking off. Yeah, excited.
Nice. It's been so cool to kind of watch you like really go after your music career the last couple of years. Like when we first were introduced to each other, what was it, the end of 2021, I want to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Or well, what I guess not when we were introduced to each other, but when we first did our podcast. And just kind of watching everything that you're doing, like watching all the music that you're releasing has been really cool. And like, this is your second album in a year? Am I mistaken? Or in
So
two
we did
years?
well. So we did the first album November 21. So I don't
Hmm.
know if I'm pretty sure that was like just before we chatted, or it was around about that time. And then we did the Lost Animals EP, which was what the
Hmm.
last tour was, which was um an EP, which
Hmm.
was at one point it was going to be an album, but it just never ended up working out, and it was kind of like a newish sound. So we decided it was good to put that out as an EP, kind of introducing some new sounds. But then now the new album is another different sound altogether again. So yeah,
I,
so it's kind of like three albums in a way.
gotcha. I was going to bring that up because I was listening to the new single. I was going to say during the Everton match, but I was watching it during halftime. Or what is it considered halftime? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
halftime, yeah.
okay. I know it is in football, and or in American football. I didn't know about. Yeah, so whatever.
Yeah, it is.
Gotcha. But no, I was listening to "No One Loves Me Like You," and I was like, man, this just sounds really different than a lot of the other stuff that I've been listening to you of yours. And the fact that you brought up that it's a new sound and you're trying something different is what was kind of the thought process going into this specific project?
So yeah, I will say that No One Loves Me Like You is a different sound altogether for me.
Okay.
It's not. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily what the album's going to sound like,
Mhm.
but it was a bit of an experiment, really. That one, quite a story behind that. So it's a song that I'd never played live. I'd never even played it on a live stream. So in case a lot of people don't know, I do live streaming on Twitch, quite a lot, as you know,
Yeah.
and YouTube. I did YouTube last night. And yeah, so usually what the process for me is I'll write a song. Sometimes within hours I'll stream it and play it live. Other times it's weeks. But this time I really wanted to hold on to it and not show anybody.
Mhm.
So it kind of started out, I'm gonna say like 2 years ago, I kind of picked up an acoustic. I remember it vividly. And I came up with some lyrics that I really liked. And the lyrics are I'm in the ocean staring at the moon, learning my lesson, no one loves me like you. And it was quite a folky song at the time. It wasn't the same melody or anything, it
Mhm.
was just the lyrics. And it kind of was just a video on my phone. And then I decided like probably about a year ago to kind of pick it back up. I don't really know why. But at around about the same time, I was thinking about putting a track out that was specifically for radio or was kind of shaped towards radio because I don't really have a lot of radio friendly songs. So I decided let's try and use this lyric that I've got off this little acousticy folky song and try
Hmm.
and make it into something radio. So that's how the guitar riff came out, like no 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 no, that because I thought it's a hook straight away. So I got the hook and then I realized like let's try and get those lyrics in. And I can't really remember specifically how I ended up shaping it, but I've got a demo of that. If you're on Patreon, will be uploaded to Patreon soon.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a journey, that song, and I never played it. And I tried to do this thing before where I hadn't played a song and I just put it on
Hmm.
people without them
Yeah.
knowing. And I tried to do it with I'm Just Lost and I ended up just playing it live.
Yeah.
But I think this song, because it is quite different for me, I didn't really ever feel that pull to play it on the stream. So it worked out and I basically just announced it a couple of weeks before I released it and that's where we are now and the lyric video's out tomorrow.
Yeah. I saw the thing on YouTube, like the it coming up or whatever. I don't know what they call it anymore, but like
Yeah.
the premiere, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. But with as much as you play shows out, and then you do the live streaming, the fact that you were able to kind of keep this song in your back pocket without anybody having heard it before, or I mean, I guess essentially know about it before you wanted them to.
Yeah.
Um, how hard, like ultimately, how hard was that? Was there ever a point where it's just like, I kind of want to just let this one go?
I'm smiling because it was so hard. And like I say, I've tried to do it before and I've just got too excited about a song and ended up putting it out. But I really, really dug in this time and I was like, no. And I filmed the whole thing behind the scenes as well. So I've got that's going out on Patreon as well. And
Nice.
there's a little part in the behind the scenes where I'm talking to Dave and we're just like, I can't believe that no one's actually going to hear this song until it comes out. And yeah, it was difficult, but I was adamant that it wasn't gonna occasionally on the streams I'd find myself playing the riff
Hmm.
and but without realizing
Yeah.
so I quickly had to sort of stop because I just play piano
Yeah.
naturally
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was really difficult but added to the excitement.
For sure. But it's if you're just kind of playing the riff on the piano, like while you're in between songs and just, kind of whatever, I don't think a lot of people are going to really catch on what's going on, because it's like,
Yeah,
I would imagine every musician just kind of has these random riffs in their back pocket. Like when there's an awkward silence, it's just kind of like, okay, here's my go-to,
yeah, I think you'd be surprised. I think it's I did it without you as well. I
Hmm.
remember before I put that out. Well, before I played it as an official, this is my song. In the process of while I was still writing it, because that one was another one that was written over a few months. I remember I was playing that a few times, and people were like, "Oh, you keep playing this riff." And I think now because of that, like people try and pick up on little riffs that I put
Yeah.
out. But I just think it all adds to it. I think it's just all really exciting. And a similar thing happened with the announcement for the tour because a lot of venues were announcing the gigs. And the same thing happened with my last tour, and I
Yeah.
made the decision that I wanted the same thing to happen again because it just adds to the build up of excitement. And when you're an independent artist, I think that excitement is really
Hmm.
important for fans.
You mentioned that you have a tour coming up in 2024. Is that primarily like a UK tour again, or are you like expanding upon that?
Yeah, this is UK, all UK.
Okay.
Similar to the last one, hopefully just slightly bigger venues. I've booked some pretty cool venues this
Yeah.
time. So yeah, I'm just working on my UK audience at the moment, and obviously the live streams at the moment is what I'm kind of trying to do for the overseas audience.
Nice, nice. It's always good. That was a lesson I learned the hard way. Was I was always trying to expand beyond my reach. Like if I was in one area, it was like, okay, what I want like outside of this area. And I've found out within the last like year and a half, it's like, no, sometimes you just gotta build your audience here and then it'll just kind of grow organically. So
Yeah, absolutely. I went through the same thing, I was trying to, at one point I was looking at, labels in America and trying to get over, and I realized that to play in America, you have to have an awful lot of
mhm.
credibility in order to
Mhm.
get a visa to be able to go on tour in the States. So, I realized that that kind of, I think that whole process kind of made me look at myself and go, have I even got that yet here
Mm.
where I am? And I realized that I've not, or I didn't, and I'm working on that and building on it. And that was a conscious decision from me as well.
Because I remember the first time we talked, you had said that, or you had kind of mentioned offline that something coming to America next year was something that you were trying to figure out. And, it, like, I mean, it, to me, I hadn't traveled internationally in a really long time. Like when I was younger and I had a passport and all that stuff, it was a little bit easier. Well, I guess pre 9/11, it was a little bit easier just in general to travel internationally.
Yeah.
Um, so it was always, uh it had been a while, but then once you start figuring, oh, you're going there to work and money's and like making money's involved, it's like that's a whole different animal to try and figure out.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, yeah.
so looking at how long of a tour is this going to be for you? Is it going to be a pretty lengthy tour for you, or
It's exactly 4 weeks,
okay?
but it's 12 dates. So it was exactly the same as the last tour,
Okay.
essentially.
I
Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I really liked how you did the last tour where it was a tour, but it was like you had time to kind of breathe in between shows and it wasn't just like 12, 15 shows back to back to back, you know.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more compact, but
Mm,
and a little bit more. I mean, together, me and my booking agent, we managed to work it out where we're doing like the northern
mm,
places first, and then so it's a little bit more kind of logistically better for me. And it does mean that I think there's one run of 5 dates,
mhm.
with essentially half of the tour.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's a little bit more like that, but we have got breaks in between. I'm still working,
Yeah.
so it just makes a lot of sense. I've only had to take 4 days of annual leave,
Nice.
um, to do the whole tour. So yeah,
Nice.
works well.
That's been the struggle for me is it's like I've only got so many days of like paid time off that I could take. And so it's like if I want to make a trip over to the UK or over to like if I want to take an international trip, it's like, all right, it's either going to be a short trip and I'm just not going to be able to do everything I want to do, or it's going to have to be a long trip and that's the only trip I take that year, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
essentially, yeah. And it also
it,
just makes a lot of sense just to have a bit of time off in between
mm,
the days. I don't really see the point in I don't see the benefit because
mhm,
if you for a start, if you're gigging it every night, that means you got to gig on Mondays and Tuesdays, which are
mm,
just terrible nights to gig anyway.
yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to split it up over the 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when the like just being in the UK, it's not that big of an area. So if after like 2 or 3 days on the road, you can go home and it's not like you're completely out of your way to
Oh
go
yeah,
back home. So
yeah. I mean, we'll travel 4 nights, 4 hours in a night.
mhm,
We'll travel home. Like on the last tour, I think me and Sai, we traveled home from London, so it's like 4 hour
mhm.
drive. Yeah, that's obviously it's not ideal, but it's more than doable. It's not like it where if it was a US tour, you just
Yeah.
wouldn't have the option.
Right, right. If it's a US tour, it's like, okay, what side of the coast are you going to be on? What region? Because if you
Yeah.
try, because that was some of the mistakes that I saw a lot of people doing when we first started interviewing international artists. They're like, oh, I'm flying into New York and then I've got a show 3 days later in Texas. And I'm like, are you flying to Texas? No, I'm going to drive. And I'm like, it's going to take you a little bit more. Like, I mean, unless you drive straight through,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I've done it. It's not hard, but you drive straight through, you're not going to get there in 3 days. So
That's crazy to think. Like,
yeah.
and that's another thing, I want to get, don't get me wrong, I want to get over to
Mm,
America like soon, the
yeah.
sooner the better, but it just seems like everything is just more difficult. Like I say, like the traveling and but I'm hoping that I'll get enough of a pull over there,
Hmm.
and like I say, build up enough credibility here in the UK to make it easier. Hopefully, I'll be able
Hmm.
to afford to get planes,
Yeah.
all of that.
Well, and it's one of those things where, like in the UK, America has its pockets where if you were to go to say like New York, you don't necessarily have to leave like within 4 hours of New York because there's plenty of major cities that
Yeah,
can support you. So it it's just when people get super ambitious where it's like, oh, I'm going to go from New York to LA, and it's like you realize that's like a that's a long flight, let alone a long drive, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wouldn't even know. Wouldn't
right,
even know where to start.
right. Um, but you know, just kind of moving forward, you've got have you announced a release date for the full album yet, or is
Um, it'll be the first week in May.
okay?
The first or yeah, probably the first week in May, but I've not got the exact date just yet.
Okay,
Although it'll either be the first Friday or like yeah, it should be the first Friday, I think. Yeah.
awesome. Well,
It's not official yet, but
yeah, yeah.
first
What
Friday.
is there? So for the full length album, everything's like recorded and ready to go, or are you still kind of in the process of everything?
Very much still in the process of it. I'm still crowdfunding.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's announced, but it's still definitely in the shaping process right now.
Gotcha. Are you still writing for the album, or do you have like all the songs written and it's just kind of like finalizing everything?
So I have enough songs written,
Hmm.
um, but if I write new songs that suit the album better, then I
Mm,
will. Yeah, it might. So I've pretty much got an idea of what track's going to be on the album. But like I say, if I write something that's just perfect for the album in the meantime, then I'll definitely be putting it on. I'm not gonna kind of pin myself down to tracks just yet. There is obviously the tracks that we've started working on,
mm,
which is about half of them. Um, they're obviously going to be going on it, and they're the
yeah.
definites. But like the last three, four, we're kind of not 100% on just yet.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough. And are you planning on just doing like the standard three singles, or are you going to just kind of release it until you got like the last three or four songs and then just release the rest of them?
Oh, it'll be three or four singles.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've done
That's
two so
yeah.
far. I've definitely got one that's good to go pretty soon. And then I've not decided yet whether I'm going to be doing a fourth. It's likely I'll probably end up doing a fourth single. Yeah.
Fair enough. So that lead single was Without You. Why'd you kind of choose that song as like the first representation of this project?
Um, I think it's probably my best song. In terms of support, the support for the song was really, really intense right from the very first play of it. And it's just a really personal song, and the theme behind the album is kind of the big and the small in
Mm-hmm.
the sense of so it's called Staring at the Moon, and I think like the imagery behind that is like something so small staring at this thing that is so big that we don't understand. So it's kind of like the juxtaposition between this big moon that we can't understand, which represents things that are bigger than humanity, space and religion and all these big kind of grand concepts. And then you've got the love stories within the song, within the album. There's so many different lives. I can't speak.
You're
Love
good.
stories between the in between the songs. So yeah, Without You is a song about loss. A very kind of personal song to me and my family recently. So
Mm,
I wanted to kind of put out a really, really strong statement of what this kind of album is going to
mm,
represent. And yeah, I think probably because it's my best song. I think obviously that's debatable and subjective, but overall it got a really, really good impression. So
for sure, for sure. And you know, your new single, No One Loves Me Like You, is already doing really well. You know, I was watching your YouTube stream this morning as I was kind of making breakfast and whatnot. And I think you hit 1,000 streams? Is that
yeah.
okay?
Um, So I looked at it just before I came on, and it's actually dropped a few streams, but I'm not really sure why that is the case.
Yeah.
It happened on my last single as well, but it's kind of approaching 1,500 streams now.
Nice.
So yeah, it's doing really, really well. To put that into perspective for where I am in my journey,
Hmm.
usually I'm hitting around about 500, 600 streams in the first day.
Hmm.
So it's doing really well for a song of mine. I think maybe because it's a little bit more commercial, a bit more upbeat, a little bit more what you'd hear on the radio. And that was exactly what I was aiming for. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's definitely a song we're glad to play here. Wow. I'm out of here. I'm done. See you guys later. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it must be coming from me. I'm struggling to speak today as well.
It
I was
it,
really, really working.
it's one of those things where like I had a really rough day at work this week, or a really rough week at work. And so last night I was watching a movie and I fell asleep on the floor and I woke up at 4 a.m.
Oh.
And it was like that weird time where it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go try and go to bed, but then I just tossed and turned for 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, I should get up. So, it
Yeah.
it
Well, I'm
is what's that?
sorry. Yeah, I'm terrible in the morning, and I've never worked. I think the only time I've ever worked weekends was when I used to work in a gaming shop.
Hmm.
Like, and I was just over Christmas when I was in university, and wasn't for very long. And so the idea of working on a Saturday is like for me, like just completely
Yeah.
just strange and weird. And
Yeah.
I was working today. We're doing COVID vaccines in the surgery that I work at.
Yeah.
So I was up pretty early for that. And it's just thrown me, to be honest. And I've been
Mm.
non-stop pretty much all the way through the day, except for watching the Everton match before,
Yeah.
which was a little bit of a chill.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
not
Oh,
really chill.
yeah. So Everton, we just got done. I think that I think we've started something here where we circle our interviews around Everton matches. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but every time we do a podcast around an Everton match, Everton wins.
Yes, or we keep ourselves in the league.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah, I think
It was
more interviews.
right. Well, it was one of those things because I was like, okay, do I put my kit on? Do I put my jersey on? And then the last three times I've worn it, they've lost, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously this has got some bad juju or whatever, so I'm gonna take this off and not wear this. And then they won today, so
That might be what it is.
yeah.
Because
Well,
I didn't mind today either.
yeah. Well, I've got that weird or the white one from 2 years ago, and I'm not real like I bought it because it was on sale, and I'm not
I
really a fan of it. So
remember, I remember you buying it, yeah.
yeah. But it was just one of those things where it's like it wasn't going to cost me a whole bunch of money. So I was like, okay, if I stop watching after a season or two, at least I only paid X amount for this, and it's not a big deal. But now it's just kind of like I've been watching for some time now, so maybe I need to invest in something a little bit more proper.
Don't get that. I wouldn't get the new ones. Not
No,
really a fan. I really like the one you've got actually. But the
no,
new ones, the quality of the new ones is
yeah,
just really shocking, to be
yeah.
honest. That's not me
I've
throwing it, just
I've found so there's this YouTube show that I've been watching where they go to a football store in the UK and they've got like a bunch of vintage like kits and whatnot.
yeah.
And so they bring in like famous UK YouTubers and they talk about like their favorite teams, favorite players and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know this was like a whole thing. So I started looking and I found a Tim Howard Everton jersey that was like dark gray and had like some pink highlights or something.
Mm.
I don't know if it was like an alternate jersey or something, but it looked really cool. I was like,
Ah.
I might have to jump in on that one. So
Yeah, they're so expensive though, aren't they?
yeah, oh yeah.
Expensive. Like I actually when I was in London, I can't remember if it was the last tour or I was in London for some reason, I can't remember, about a year ago.
Hmm.
And I found like I think it was the same shop that you're talking
Hmm.
about. And I went in there and I was like, this is crazy. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna go home and see if I've still got my old Everton shirts. And I went
Hmm.
home and I realized that I'd got rid of all of them. And
Right.
I was like, oh no. But I've got some really cool ones. I've got the FA Cup. You've probably seen, I don't know if I've put pictures on social media. I've got the FA Cup 1995
Hmm.
winning jersey that I got off my grandpa
Hmm.
who went to the game, which is really cool to have. Yeah, I've got some really cool ones.
Nice. That's really cool. And you'd mentioned earlier about going on the tour of Goodison tomorrow, right? You said?
Yeah, yeah, I'm really lucky. I got it as a birthday present off one of my supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Bought it for me inside to go to Goodison tomorrow, so we booked
Nice.
it. I can't wait. I've been to Goodison, but
Yeah.
I'm just really excited to like go and see like behind the scenes and all of
Yeah.
the kind of stuff. It's gonna be cool.
For sure. I'm hoping that I get to go to a match this season before they like don't play at Goodison anymore, before they go into assuming that the new stadium gets done, like
Yeah, yeah.
because everything I hear is it's like, maybe not, who knows? So
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't see it not happening now. It's pretty close to finish.
mhm.
Let me know if you come over for a match though, because I've got to come with you.
so
You do
so
realize that?
yes, no, I completely I right now the plan is I'm coming over in April, I want to say, because they do a country music festival down in, oh, where is it? Portsmouth, Bournemouth, somewhere on the South Sea there, or
Oh,
South Coast.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and it's like, okay, if I could plan it around an Everton match and just like, but that would really suck. Like, I'd have to land in London and then either drive to Liverpool and then come south, or go south and then come up to Liverpool. And it's like,
Yeah.
but if I take off enough time, it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Portsmouth is quite the drive, but you could
Yeah.
get the train.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be difficult to get
No.
the train.
And I think that's ultimately my biggest like thing that makes me nervous is it's like I usually when I go new places, I always have somebody with me that just kind of either knows how to get around, or like at least
Yeah.
if we're lost together type of thing. But
Yeah.
I
I think
think,
you'd be fine.
yeah.
You'd be fine.
Well, I mean, at least it's not like in China or something where I don't speak Chinese or anything. So it's like, yeah, I don't think it'd be too bad. So,
No,
um, so kind of moving forward with everything, what's the plans for the rest of the year? Are you playing shows, or what do you kind of got going on the rest of the year?
it's a bit quiet really. I've got a couple of shows this month. I've got sorry, not this month, next month.
Mm,
I've got a pretty big one actually. I've got a 400 capacity venue local to me, a place
mhm,
called the Brinley. You've probably heard people talking about it on my streams and bits and bobs. But yeah, that one's probably my biggest venue that I've actually headlined.
mhm.
Um, I've played there a few times, but I've played the smaller room a few times. And this time they've kind of bumped me up to the big room, and then they let me use a Steinway piano and all of these things. So
Nice.
that's going to be a big show. I've got a new bass player as well, so it's going to be his first show in. And then after that, it's pretty quiet. I've not really got too much. I did have another gig booked for October, but that one's cancelled now. So it's going to be a lot of live streaming, a lot of
Mm,
focusing online, a lot of
nice.
studio work, probably really heavily in the studio,
Nice.
and then just prepping for the tour next year. I will have some dates early next year as well to announce. But
Nice.
yeah, I feel like really I'm kind of focusing on touring in sections, and then like the odd gig in between, and maybe try and get some supports. But yeah, just for the rest of the year, it's pretty much studio work other than the Brinley show. And I tend to take December off,
Yeah.
not from studio and streaming and stuff, but from gigging, because
Yeah.
my partner side does all my sound. He works in a theater and he
Yeah.
works pantomime. So
Yeah. It's one of those things, like December just in general is probably a good time to take a break,
yeah,
like no matter what you do. I've tried to do that once, but I'm such like I get bored after like 4 days where it's like, all right, I should be doing something right now. So by like I'll say, okay, I'm gonna take December off, but then by like December 7th, it's like and I just start getting the shakes and I need to go do something. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, December's busy because it's Christmas anyway, so
Mm,
you're never really bored during December.
mm,
I don't get bored because I love Christmas.
yeah.
So yeah, that's perfect time for me, really.
Yeah. It's like, and I mean, ultimately, that's another reason why breaks happen, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna podcast. Nope. Okay, I got a Christmas party, or like whatever it is. But when I'm not active on social media, it's like that addictive drug. I don't know. Like I try
Yeah.
every once in a while, I try, but it never
Oh no,
works.
I can never take a break off social media. I
Right.
went on holiday, went to Spain for two
Mm,
weeks last month, and to be fair, the first 5 days of it, I was really just relaxed, and I didn't
mm,
even think about music, to be honest. Um and then like the last few days of the holiday, I was kind of just like really itching to get back home and get back on social media. And I was always on social media on my phone and whatever, but yeah, I think I'd struggle to completely just get rid of social media. I'm very addicted to it, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. I'm in that same boat. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you. Really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me. For anybody that wants to check out the new single, any other music you have out there, your live streams, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
So yeah, I have all of the social media platforms, pretty much every single one of them. And I'm either Jenny.Colquitt or Jenny underscore Colquitt or jennycolquitt.co.uk or Jenny Colquitt Music. But there's only one of me. My surname is spelled Colquitt. And yeah, my website is a good one. Sign up to my mailing list. Lots going on all of the time. I'm pretty active on there and also on my socials. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Awesome, awesome. Once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
What do you think Everton's going to do? Well, I mean, I guess they got two matches this week, don't they? Because they got the EFL Cup or whatever, right?
Ah, is it? Are we playing Aston Villa again?
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
know. I've honestly, I've not really thought about it. I need to check the schedule.
Because
Uh,
we got Aston Villa and then we got like Luton or something, don't we?
oh no, I'm dreading that one because Luton are the team that everyone thinks aren't going to win a single game.
Hmm.
And let's just say if they're going to beat anyone in the league, it's going to be us. So
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to that game. But Calvert-Lewin just scored
yeah,
today,
yep,
so that can only be a good thing for us because he's going to be hopefully on a mission to get some goals.
yeah,
So I've got a good feeling. Although I think if we're going to get tripped up, Luton could be the team
yeah.
to get us. Mm.
I was really impressed how we handled Arsenal last week. Yeah, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. But that I
Yeah,
was like, I thought we showed up pretty decently to that match. Like we
I
didn't
thought we did.
win, but yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were slating the performance. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong. I don't think we weren't actively seeking the win. I think that was clear. But at the same time, I think it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, I'm with you in on that one.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, take my opinions for what it is. Like, I've only been paying attention to the Premier League for roughly 2 years, so it's just kind of like, I'm still playing catch up in a lot of regards. So yeah, but once again, thank you so much for chatting with us. Really appreciate it.